Another difference in the Cortex-M profile processors is the concept of fast I/O access. So there are a single I/O access, or I/O bus as it's commonly referred to, that exists in the Cortex-M0 Plus and Cortex-M23 processor definitions. It is a separate bus interface, as shown on the right-hand side with the orange box, that goes from, in this case, from the processor complex directly to the GPIO. It's a single cycle I/O interface. It can go to other peripherals. It most commonly goes to the general purpose I/O instead of the port I/O controller that exists down off of the APB bus. So this allows GPIO access without bus transfer, and it is significantly faster than going through the normal or more traditional approach, which is shown here with the arrows. So normally you go from the processor down through the bus matrix, through the AHB to APB bus, and through a dedicated port I/O peripheral. So that's through two buses and into a peripheral. The difference in performance is significant. On a 25 megahertz part, toggling a single I/O over the I/O bus can approach 20 megahertz. And that same toggling probably approaches 4 or 5 through the port I/O controller. So why the difference, or why would you use one method over the other? Primarily, the port I/O controller gives you some safety and resynchronization. So the ports in an ARM processor are 32 bits wide. And so if you've got a mix of outputs and inputs on a single port, which most designs do, on the I/O bus, you've got to be very careful on any sort of read, modify, write sequences, because the inputs aren't resynchronized in to a register further back, and you're getting a real-time read of those inputs. So it works really, really well for driving a bunch of outputs in a pattern at a really high rate. But if you've got a strong mix of inputs and outputs, then using the port I/O controller is definitely the preferred method. But this particular architecture gives you a choice. You can use either.